Down.
3, 2, 1. Benvenuti and ciao ragazzi to the third episode of In the Shadow of Vesuvio from the Far From Vesuvius network. My name is Henry Bell. I am your co-host today. I am in the west of Scotland, so right at the edge of the very big shadow. But I am joined by the one, the only, at Napoli Tickets on Twitter, Michele Borelli, who is literally in the shadow of Vesuvio in Naples. Ciao Michele, how's it going? How is Napoli oggi?
Ciao, Henry. Ciao, everybody. It's fine. It's fine. I think spring has arrived. We always talk about the weather at the beginning of this podcast, but that's literally like while I record this podcast, I literally have the Vesuvius in front of me. I'm not even joking. Like my window actually faces the Vesuvius.
Please take a picture and we will tweet it out. So
I will.
And wait, okay, talking about the weather, I know it's a very British thing to do. I'm sorry. But last week I said 16 degrees in March is the stuff of a madman's dreams in Scotland. Well, today it is 19 degrees, Michele, and I think it's all down to you.
I think so too. Yes, I agree.
Great.
Here is, I think it's 18, 17, something like that. But very sunny, very sunny.
So you're saying that Paisley is sunnier than Napoli. Anyway, this won't mean very much to many people here, unless you know Scottish geography incredibly well. So not only did you influence Spalletti with his change of 4-3-3, you're now influencing the weather gods, Michele. Like, is there nothing you can do? So tell me, let's paint a picture of the streets of Naples, the stories of what's going on over there. We're going to talk a lot about football, but let's not talk about football for a second. What's the word on the street? What are people talking about in Naples today?
I think spring has arrived, and I think later I'm gonna go out with the short sleeves. So that's huge. Like we have huge problem with gas prices as everyone.
Yep.
But I was telling you before too. I think they just like literally like today they cut prices by something like 50 cents, 30 cents, something like that. And yeah, that's huge, man, because the gas here costs around, well, yesterday at least, €2.20 per liter.
Right.
Which I don't know how many gallons per dollar it is, but it's a lot. It's like $10 per gallon, so something like that. I don't know. And it's expensive. It's very expensive. But other than that,
the gas price. All of us over here are using our savings to pay the bills. But not only do you get to live in a beautiful city like Naples and follow a beautiful team like SSC Napoli, you can also have affordable gas prices. I mean,
fair enough. We have other problems too, if you want. But yeah, this is the latest problem. But yeah, no, Napoli is definitely a nice place to live. I agree. I lived outside. I live abroad for many years, and I decided to come back just because I missed it too much.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think perhaps you're not just going to be getting DMs from people asking for tickets, but you're also now going to be getting real estate inquiries from people wanting to move.
I already do. I already have people. A lot of people actually ask me where to move. What's the best place in Napoli to move, not just to stay a few nights. Yeah, actually move. Yeah, a few friends.
Tell me then.
I have a few friends.
Actually, we're completely off script. So tell me, if you were in your alternative Napoli real estate hat, where would you recommend someone to move if they were just moving over?
The thing about Napoli is that it's very heterogeneous. So there are a lot of places. I don't know if you guys ever been to Napoli, but there are very nice neighborhoods, like Chiaia, which is on the seafront, very nice public park, it's really nice. And then there is Vomero, for example, which is on top of a hill, and it's relatively new. So it was built around the 50s, the 60s. So the architecture there is new, and the urbanistic there is very new. Streets that kind of make sense there. Okay. While in the historic center, everything is narrow. It's been built over the centuries, so it's very chaotic. So it really depends. Napoli has something for everyone. I feel, but if you can afford it, I always recommend to actually move to Vomero, which is the place on top of the hill. It's kind of, it's chaotic on Saturday, maybe on Friday, but it's very nice. A lot of pedestrianized areas, a nice park called La Floridiana, which is really, really nice.
Beautiful.
And yeah, it's a little bit far from all the Napoli chaos,
but not too far. So if you fancy
a bit of chaos,
I mean, let's face it, We
Yeah,
love a bit of chaos, but
absolutely.
not too much. Then you can go in. If I had a choice, I mean, you're going to shout at me here, but if I had a choice right now, maybe because I'm getting old, I'd go for Procida. That's where I'd go.
All right. It's not strictly Napoli, though. You're cheating.
I'm cheating, I know, but what is
Yeah.
it? 40 minutes on a boat? Is it something like that?
Yeah, it is, but I don't know. Is it comfortable enough? I mean, just like taking a boat every time you have to go somewhere. It's a
That's
very nice place. It's a paradise, but it's far. It's far. I mean, it's an island. There
okay.
are no
I'm
bridges,
cheating.
so
I'm sorry. And I was there, and I remember I was having a meal, and I mentioned Massimo Troisi to the restaurant owner, just in that English tourist way, going. And obviously, I didn't realize exactly how he was considered by the people in Procida because of Il Postino. If you haven't seen the movie,
right.
guys, you have to watch it. Well, any
Troisi, you mean? Yeah.
yeah.
Ah,
And
yeah. Sorry.
I told the restaurant owner, and he just started crying because you're still so moved by his sort of tragic early death.
So
Anyway,
let me tell you something then. I live right now. I'm speaking from a place which is exactly the building where Massimo Troisi used to live. Like literally in
oh,
this building, there are still Troisi people at the two floors. Two floors. Like I live on the second floor, and the Troisi family lives on the fourth floor.
oh, please. I mean, I'm not even joking. Please pass on the best wishes of Dr. Henry Bell, who is a professor, a lecturer of drama and theatre. I teach him because he's a genius. And one of the great, and whenever I talk about my all-time Napoli 11, I always put him in it because I think you need him in the dressing room, a great entertainer such as him. And honestly, okay, so the big famous film is Il Postino. Do you have a recommendation of another one for people if they want to go deeper on one of Napoli's most talented artistic sons?
Yes, there are a couple of movies I really like. I think the best one, the one I would recommend, is Ricomincio da tre. That's really nice. That's really great. A lot of very nice quotes from the movie. It's amazing. Very stupidly funny.
And just tell us the premise of this film because it's quite fun, isn't it? The actual
The
premise.
premise of the film is that this guy is from Napoli and he wants to move away from Napoli, and everyone asks, which is something a lot of people do. I did it as well. And a lot of people say, you're moving away because you can't find a job here. You don't really like Napoli, so you're moving away to find like better luck. And he says, no, why should I? I'm not moving away because I don't like it here. Why is everyone asking me that? I'm just moving away because I want to experience, I want to have other experiences. So he goes away, he goes to Florence, he goes to other places, and it's really fun. It's really, really fun.
It absolutely is great, and you can get a DVD with English subtitles as well. I have one, so great. Okay, good to get a bit of culture. We've painted the picture of where you are and part of the vast cultural heritage. I mean, we've already listened to Enrico Caruso before, but yeah, it carries on. But let's talk about football because that's, I suppose, it's what we're here for. So we're coming in off the back of a 2-1 victory over Udinese. And Michele, you were there in Curva B, right?
Yes, as always.
So, as always, absolutely. So you talked brilliantly in the first show about the atmosphere before the game against Milan and how it felt like a Champions League thing. Now, as you put out on your Twitter account at Napoli Tickets, before the game, you were saying that actually a lot of tickets have been sold and it was sold out, really.
Sold out.
Yeah.
Sold out, yes.
And it was, watching here, it was so obvious that it was full. But tell me what it was like beforehand. Did you get there nice and early as usual and get singing?
I tried, but I couldn't. I tried. I was very late this time. I was going with two friends and I was super late and very stressed because the game was at 3 p.m. Italian time on Saturday, which is, I think, the worst time and the worst day in terms of traffic. So I was stuck in traffic for like an hour and a half. And I was planning to leave my house at 11 a.m. That's how early I planned to leave. But I couldn't. I couldn't until like 12:30. So yeah, my friends were angry at me. And yeah, I couldn't help it. Unfortunately, I was trying to get some more tickets. I was trying to cover some very late requests for tickets, which fortunately I was able to fulfill.
Very
But
good.
yeah, I couldn't really leave early. So we asked some friends of a friend who was coming, who were in Curva B, to keep 3 seats for us, which they said they did. But once we went there, they didn't. So basically, I had to watch the whole game. So they only had two seats for us, and we're three. And I couldn't sit basically for the whole game. Well, I don't sit during games anyway, but still, there wasn't space to to do anything. So I was basically watching the game sideways. I don't know if you can picture it, but there was a very, let's say, large guy behind me, and
Okay.
there was a friend of mine on my left. So I was just basically my right shoulder was facing the pitch, and my left shoulder was facing the stand, and that's how I watched the game,
You're
the whole game.
squeezed in. You're like a sardine in a box.
Exactly. Yeah,
I love it.
and but the thing is that yeah, some friends like my friends were complaining like, oh, but we have no space, we have no room, it's not gonna be enjoyable. But then I remind them that in the 80s and in the 90s, that's how people watch games in Napoli. Like my father used to tell me because basically the stadium has remained the same, since the 50s, since it was built. There've been slight changes. So, for example, they obviously added the roof, they added the seats. By law, now every stadium in Italy has to have seats. So the capacity has reduced, but basically the main structure of the stadium is the same. So in the 80s, it used to have around 90,000 people, 100,000 people per game, and now it's 52,000.
Yeah.
But the space is the same. They only added seats, so they can only sell as many tickets as there are seats. But still, my father tells me there was absolutely no space to do anything there. Everyone was sideways. And yeah, so that's what I reminded people. It was a little bit of a 80s feelings. But
Well,
yeah, no,
the greatest decade to be a Napoli fan. And sorry, I absolutely love the idea of your friend in a packed Curva B trying to keep 3 seats free. I mean, that's optimistic, Michele, no?
but you can do it. Otherwise, I would have told them to do. You can do it if you put like some jackets or like a bag or a backpack somewhere on the seats, and you leave one seat empty between you and your friends. You can do. There are like tricks and tips you can follow to do that. I've done it many times. Like
Great.
I've kept like 3 or 4 seats empty alone for friends that were coming. So I think some of them were just newbies. They didn't know. They had no idea what to do. But
And it's
fortunately, the large guy to my right didn't really care. He was like, "Yeah, no worries, man." So yeah, all
nice.
good.
Top lad. What was his name? Did he catch his name?
I have no idea. I have no idea, but I nonetheless hugged him when Napoli scored. But no, I have no idea what his name is.
We'll call him Ciro. Grazie, Ciro.
He looked like a Ciro, yeah.
So when you got there a bit late, but what were the vibrations like? So what was the atmosphere? Was it similar to Milan? Was it a bit tense? What was the feeling?
I think the feelings when it's an evening game, it's always more exciting. I think it's because all big games usually happen in the evening. If you have a big game, huge game, it usually takes place in the evening, like Champions League games, for example, like finals and stuff.
Yeah.
So playing at 3 p.m. it's not ideal in terms of like excitement. Let's say that it's a little bit more comfortable, especially because you can go back home by train. Whereas, yeah, if Napoli plays in the evening, there are no trains to come back. But other than that, it was super packed. I really like it. I really like this Saturday days, which you basically dedicate to the game, and that's it. So you wake up, you think about the game, you start going to the stadium, watch the game, and then you leave and you talk about the game for the rest of the day, especially if Napoli wins. So you can definitely feel that while you go to the stadium. As I told you, there was an hour and a half of traffic to go to the stadium, and everyone is stuck in traffic is going there, is going to Fuori Grotta. So you can already feel, you see people inside cars with scarves. People um, have scarves waving outside the cars while they drive on the Tangenziale. That's really fun.
I love it.
When you go through tunnels, everyone just screams and shouts, and yeah, they use their car horns to create some kind of atmosphere. I really love it. It's really fun.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful. I love that too. So before the game, I think we know what the songs are, but what were the songs that were particularly coming out of Curva B?
That's always the usual, you know. It's I think I really really like the chance we use. I really like the attitude of the ultras. For this game, I was telling my friends, you know, they've kind of changed their attitude lately because a few years ago they were very aggressive. Let's say, you know, the ultras are kind of, as I said last time, the ultras are very close group. So they always had an attitude of, you know, we are us and you are not us, so you don't belong here, kind of, you know.
Mm.
But still, they try to involve people in the chants because obviously the ultras are not that many. I think it's not even like 500, 400 people. So if you want to make noise in the stadium, you need non-ultras fans to chant along ultras. And I never liked the attitude of the ultras where they kind of, well, I wouldn't say threaten, but they were like very aggressive. Like, if you don't chant, you're an idiot. You know, why do you even come to the stadium if you're not chanting? Which is true, I agree. But there
Yeah.
are ways to say it which will produce better results. So this time around, I was in front of a couple trust. The guy launching the chants. There are like 5 or 6 in the whole Curva B, and this guy was very supportive. I loved it. He was like a he's like a Curva's father, you know. It was really supportive. It was at one point he was giving us uh some kind of lecture on how to actually pronounce words. He was like, "Oh, you're going like to the whole like with a megaphone to the whole Curva." He was like, "You're
I
going too
love it.
fast. You're going too fast. You know, you have to go slow. You're going too fast. Chant with me. Just follow me." And he was like kind of like very carefully enunciating every word. And yeah, well, I loved it. And then when he was satisfied, he was like nodding with his head. It was like giving us the thumbs up, and I was so proud. I was telling my friends, "Look, he's happy. I've never seen a happy ultras in Curva B. We are making him proud." That was so fun. But
So,
yeah, I think that
it sounds like I'm going to be out of a job, Michele. There is a performance lecturer in Curva B who's giving voice lessons, giving pronunciation lessons. I love it. I love it. This guy. Find out what his name is. We have to maybe try to talk to him.
I know he belongs to the Fedain ultras because that's what it was written on his megaphone. But yeah, it was really nice. So if he's listening to us, and I'm sure he is, then thank you, couple trust, because you really made a difference. I feel.
And I do think that, okay, this is a serious thing to talk about because I do think, I mean, I'm a terrible plastic fan, really, but like even sitting on the sofa, I've noticed a difference, and I'm sure lots of people listening who, for whatever reason, can't get to Naples, have noticed a difference in the atmosphere in that stadium. And it's interesting that you're saying there is this slight change in atmosphere. And has this been since the Curva released that statement that you translated before the Milan game, or would you say that this goes back even further?
No, I think it goes back even further, but I wouldn't say it's a difference in atmosphere. It's a difference in attitude.
Yeah,
So I think atmosphere is very variable in the Napoli stadium. Obviously, for big games, people want to participate more. If there is a bigger stake in winning the game, you know, it's people participate more. But it's not. I wouldn't say it's about the trust. They can help. So, for example, if they distribute, they never like it's not always the same. I feel like when they distribute couple trusts, which are the people who actually launch the chants, when
yeah.
they distribute them throughout the whole curva, then it's easier to involve people. But it's important to understand that not everyone in the curva chants and sings. So the central part of the curva chants, while the sides of the curva really don't. You know, it's really hard to involve them. You know, they chant maybe like the most famous chants, like Un giorno all'improvviso.
Mm.
They're a little bit more plastic, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
after my own
which
heart, but
yeah, which I don't like, but I do understand that obviously, like if you want to go to the curva, it's not just because you want to chant; it's also because it's cheaper, and some people can only afford to go to the curva. So I totally understand that maybe they don't feel like chanting, they don't know the chants, maybe,
Mm.
or maybe they are just getting introduced to the chants. You know, this guy, the Ciro, you say you called him,
Yeah,
but this guy next to me, he was literally asking me some questions because it was his first time in Curva B. So he was telling me I was eating a panino kindly given to me from my friend because I didn't bring any. I forgot. I was taking care of the tickets. I didn't even have time to get a panino for me. But while I was eating the panino, this guy asked me, "Are we allowed to eat in here?" It was such a weird question, but it's not totally unfounded because it is true that there are some rumors that you can do a lot of things in the curva. Like some people think you can wear a scarf, some people think you can wear shirts, some people think you can eat, and they are partially true, all of them. Although I've never been bothered by, well, only once actually, not me, but some friends
Yep.
were bothered by a couple trusts while they were eating a panino. Actually, it was a frittata di maccheroni, like pasta,
Yeah.
fried pasta. And this guy was
Get that in my veins, man. I love that stuff.
it was so funny. This guy came to us and just said, What are you doing?" "Oh, we're eating." "But why are you eating?" "Because we are hungry." "But you don't eat here," he said. It was very kind, but it was
This is pure theater, Michele. This is like
no, and it's good. Every time something happens, it's I have so many anecdotes,
But there's a whole thing. There's a whole thing about like audience etiquette, like in the theater. Like you can't talk, you can't rustle your sweets.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, personally, I hate it because I think you should do what the hell you like.
I agree.
But and also I love this. I like what you're saying because like there isn't one way to be a football fan, and I think we see it on Twitter sometimes. It's really boring conversation. You're not a real fan. It's like you're a fan of a club if you support the club. So this sounds great. So what happened then when Udinese scored? Did that have a negative effect on the crowd? From where I sat, I was really impressed with how the crowd stayed with the team personally. But I'm interested to hear your perspective.
No. It was 100%, like you said. So when Udinese scored, we were in the middle of a chant, like a long chant. I don't remember which one, but we were in the middle of it. And then Udinese scored, but we didn't drop the chant, so we just continued it, and we never stopped. And even though it was very depressing, because it was also a very depressing first half, we didn't stop the chant, and we just kept going. And hopefully that made a difference. But like performance-wise, it was a really bad first half. We didn't try nearly enough. This time around, I wasn't sitting behind a flag, so I could actually see the whole game. And it wasn't. Maybe it would have been better to have a flag in front of me during the first half, because that was painful to watch.
Next time, bring your own flag, and if it's terrible, you can just put it in front of your eyes.
Exactly, no, but it was, when Udinese scored, it was, I wouldn't say it was expected, but it wasn't also unexpected, if you know what I mean. It was in the air. Udinese was really trying hard, and I wouldn't say we conceded too much, but still, like they were really trying, and sooner or later, if they keep trying, something will happen. It happened against Milan with a kind of weird goal, and this time around, Deulofeu, which is a player I love. I always liked it.
Same here.
Yeah, it was with a very great shot.
Doesn't he? He always plays well against us. And yeah, it was a beautiful shot. You were behind the goal, right? That was
no, this time around. So all 3 goals were scored in Curva A, so really far away from me. So I couldn't really tell. I couldn't tell when Di Lorenzo got injured, because it was also in Curva. Everything happened in Curva A this time.
Okay. So we should have a word with Spalletti and say, look, mate, if you're going to listen to our podcast, steal our tactical ideas, the least you can do is set the team up to do things in front of Michele, who may be squeezed up against Ciro, so he needs to see things. It wasn't great. It was underpowered, and I think, talking about tactics, actually, that we talked about this last week, and Raf on the Napoli rant, we're talking about this when talking to Patrick Kendrick, that we have different options now. And actually, I wasn't sure the 4-3-3 was a great idea against this Udinese. I thought that actually a 4-2-3-1 would work better here. And so we got to halftime, and Spalletti, to his credit, changed things at halftime. And I think that was really bold. And I think that's what won us the match. What were people talking about at halftime? Or were people just concentrating on going to the toilet and eating a panino?
I was in a panino myself. People were going to the toilet too. But the good sign was that as soon as the players went inside the tunnel to go to the dressing rooms at the end of the first half, Mertens started to warm up immediately, and he was warming up. At least this happened. He was warming up under Curva B, so that was very exciting. You could tell immediately that he was warming up to get in, which was weird because the Spalletti never does that, right? It's very rare for Spalletti to have substitutions at the beginning of the second half. Yeah. But he was already training with his shirt on. He was training really hard. He was warming up really hard, so you could tell that he was about to get in. It's not always the case because a lot of players, especially the ones on the bench, they usually stay on the pitch during the between the first and the second half. They pass the ball around, they have some fun. So it's not always the case that if a player remains on the pitch, they actually get substituted in. But it was clear by the way Mertens was warming up, by the intensity with which he was warming up, that he would get in. And that was good. That was a good sign because we need Mertens. We like Mertens, but not just because he's our Ciro. We like Mertens because he's an actually good player. He's the best scorer in the history of this club, right? So
It's a
he could,
wonderful, wonderful.
yeah, we all thought he would give something to the team, and he did. He did. And I agree with you. The 43 for this game was probably wrong. It's very easy to say it in hindsight, but it was wrong. It's like way too many people in midfield against a very crowded midfield from Udinese as well. So yeah, we didn't really find any space there, and
There wasn't anything going on between the lines for me. That was people. I think Fabian, he didn't have a great game. I think he needs a bit of a rest, to be honest. A bit like how Zielinski did. Personally, I'd bring Zielinski in for the next game and rest Fabian. But so when it was clear that Ciro, not the Ciro that you were next to, the Ciro on the pitch, you're surrounded by Ciros. When it was clear that he was going to be coming on, did the Curva react to it? Was there any communication between the Curva and Mertens?
A lot of people started clapping and cheering him.
Yeah.
Basically, as soon as he removed his training shirt, and as soon as he showed us the actual playing shirt, the red shirt with which we played, we immediately understood that he was about to be substituted in, and everyone cheered, everyone clapped. It was really nice, and he waved at us. So yeah, he appreciated the cheering. But yeah, no, everyone was relieved. People were relieved because we needed something. We needed something, tactically speaking, to break Udinese, because Udinese played their game perfectly in the first half, and we needed something to counter their tactics.
Yeah,
which fortunately happened.
I thought it was really smart that Beto, whatever his name is, he was basically just kicking the hell out of Lobotka. I don't know if you noticed this, and I think that they obviously noticed how important Lobotka is to the rhythm of Napoli, and they disrupted that rhythm. I thought it was a really smart tactical move. And then obviously bringing Ciro on is that you what you're doing is that you've kind of got two creative focal points in the middle of the pitch, which I thought was really smart from Spalletti, and it completely counteracted that sort of pressure that was being put on Lobotka, I thought. So, I mean,
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, good. There we go. It's good that we get these tactical chats in for Spalletti, because we know he listens. He listens.
Absolutely, yeah. 100% listens. That's out of the question.
He's one of our many million listeners.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so you've painted a really vivid picture so far. So then the goals go in. So what? Tell me, talk me through what it was like when the first one and then the second one went in.
So, again, it was really far away from me, but fortunately I didn't have any flag in front of me, so I could clearly see it. It was a relief. It was everything we needed. And it was very clear that, it was a great goal. I really liked it. And we started the second half by chanting as loud as we could once again. There was a lot of very good participation by the whole Curva this time around. Like, a lot of people contributed to the chants, and even the distinti a little bit, which usually it's a section where people don't chant, was contributing as well. There was fun, and that was needed. And after the first goal, we were all in. We have to win this. A lot of the chants we did were about winning the game. Nice. And actually, at the end of the first half, there was a chant for the team, basically just saying, don't give up, just try your best and don't give up, something like that. And,
nice. Okay, and I think that it was really, for me, I could really, and we talked about this in the first episode, that communication between the fans and the players, and I thought it was so evident in that second half. I think the tactical switch to bring Mertens on helped too, but there was this. And the fact that you're bringing on someone that's so adored and loved by the crowd, I think, is also a smart thing to do. So the whole team kind of got the lift. And that leap from Osimhen, I mean, and a great ball in from Ballon d'Or winner 2023, Mario Rui. I hope.
The one and only.
Yeah. What's the what do people think of him in the Curva? Because he's had such a up and down with Napoli, but there's part of me that actually rather loves him, actually.
Mario Rui, is really fun. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, because I have no idea, but I nonetheless contribute to it. So basically, before the game starts, while the team warms up, basically what happens is that Napoli warms up in the Curva B side of the pitch, and usually the away team warms up towards the Curva A side, okay? So where I am, we see Napoli's warm up very clearly. They warm up right in front of us. I don't know why, but lately, I think in the last 3 or 4 months, I have no idea why, but the whole Curva focuses on Mario Rui. It's so funny to me. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. I have no idea. I have no idea. While I was going inside, so basically the last thing
he's
they
the
do,
best player in the world, Michele.
Absolutely, no, I agree. Everyone understood that, and that's why everyone focuses on it. Basically, what happens is that when Napoli warms up, the last thing they do before they go back to the dressing room is they try shots. They shoot on goal with a goalkeeper in, obviously, and they take turns. It's like one at a time, like a shot every 15 or 20 seconds. The whole team shoots, and it's really fun because they shoot towards Curva B again, and we can see clearly everyone shooting, and we can kind of tell if they're gonna be good or bad for the whole game, because usually Insigne misses all shots actually, which is funny. And Mario Rui has some crazy shots and amazing shots. And for some reason, like, people are kind of lukewarm when other players shoot during this phase. But when it's Mario Rui's turn, everyone pays attention. Everyone is like, like the anticipation, like, oh, then he shoots, and if he scores, like, we celebrate like if it's a normal goal. Like I swear the whole Curva does. And if he doesn't score during this phase, then everyone's like, oh, So imagine like 10,000 people doing this every time Mario Rui shoots. And it's funny because he's always the last one as well in this phase. So everyone shoots and then goes to the dressing room. He's the one who stays on the pitch the longest.
I'm not
surprised. While warming up. So he's the last one shooting. And then after he shoots, he scores or not, whatever. But then after he shoots, he sprints really, really fast towards the dressing room, towards the tunnel, And it's so funny. Everyone cheers, everyone claps when he does that. It's amazing. It's so funny. I swear it happens only with Mario Rui. And this time around, I told you, I was late to go to the stadium. So while I was getting in, I was at the turnstile. And I started to hear the cheers, like everyone cheering. I said, okay, Mario Rui has just scored another goal during warm-up. We have to go fast. Let's run. I was saying to my friends, run, because we're missing Mario Rui's shoots.
I love it. Yeah, this is great. I really feel like I'm there. I mean, I think there is that affection for just, and at the moment, Napoli seem to have quite a lot of players that are complete one-offs. They're like, there's no one else like Mario Rui. He's completely mad. But he cares, and he's given a real go. And it was very good to see him get an assist. He's going to score an amazing goal this season, isn't he? I mean, he's getting close. He keeps hitting the bar or hitting the post. But maybe one of these goals will... Imagine the crowd reaction if he scores a goal at home. What do you think would happen to the Stadio Maradona if that...
It will fall down. It will crumble. And everyone... I had a bet with some friends a few years ago. We're basically like, if Ishai scores, we have to buy his shirt. Everyone, like a group of 6 people, we all have to go and buy his shirt if he scores. Okay. But I think with Mario Rui, we have to do something. We haven't done it yet, but we have to do something like that. It's more dangerous because Ishai never scores. But with Mario Rui, there is a danger he might score, and I really don't feel like spending 125 euros to buy a Mario Rui shirt. But then again, if I bet on it, I have to do it. I have to follow up.
I think we have to make the commitment here on air, Michele, that if Mario Rui scores,
I dug my own grave.
If he scores at home between now and the end of the season, I'm going to get one, and my girlfriend will kill me, but I will I'll have to secretly buy a Mario Rui shirt. No, anyway, okay, and then
Okay, fair enough. I'll do it as well.
And then we get the winner, assist from Di Lorenzo, the other fullback. Another great goal, and presumably, so the first one was relief. What was the second one? How would you sum that one up?
Total joy. We were so happy, so happy. To be honest, I didn't really believe. I was kind of pessimistic during the game because I really didn't like the first half, so I didn't believe we had it in us to turn it around. So once we did, it was I would say, at least on my part, it was a cautious celebration because I was happy, obviously, and I celebrated like crazy as usual. But I didn't feel like the result would remain the same. I think I'm just being traumatized like too many times by this team. But I really felt like I even told my friend, I said to him, this game is gonna end 2-2. Because that's the classic Napoli result, like when you turn it around, you do everything, you dominate the second half, and then you concede some stupid goal in the last second, and then that's it. And then it's too late.
Yeah,
exactly. And then it's too late to fix it. And so I really felt like at one point I watched at the clock and it was like the 88th minute. I was like, wow, we can actually win this game. I can't believe it. I honestly didn't believe it. And also because right now there are a lot of big stakes here. So every game, I know everyone says that all the time, coaches, players, but I actually believe and I actually feel like every game now it's a final. Every time, and you can actually feel, the atmosphere at the stadium, even this time around, even if it wasn't an evening game. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. It felt like a Scudetto atmosphere. I'm gonna say it.
Okay, you've gone there.
Yes. No, because it's true. It's true. I don't want to say it, but I honestly felt like, okay, there is something special going on here.
No, it feels like that. I mean, it feels like that on the sofa in Scotland, to be honest. It feels like whatever happens, we're going to be talking about this moment for years and years and years and years to come. We are part of a really special season. We're in the conversation. Juve fans, Atalanta fans, Roma fans, they don't have the same thing that we have and Milan fans have and Inter fans. And, we're not saying we're going to win the Scudetto, but we're saying it feels like there's this is in the air, that we're part of this title race. So I think go for it, Michele.
No, it's when you step inside the stadium, you can I can't even tell you why or how, but you can tell. You can tell there is something different. I'm not just saying it, I'm not just saying it because it feels nice to say. I honestly I've been going to the stadium regularly for 15 years now, and you can tell the difference. It's not just because the stadium was full, which again, it doesn't really happen that often. You can tell there is something special going. You can tell that people are there because they expect, they kind of hope for something big to happen, something bigger. You can tell that people are very exciting. It usually has to do with the fact that people go there very early, not like me on Saturday. But then again, I got in, I wasn't even that late. For my standards, it was late, but I got in at like 30 minutes before the game started. So it wasn't that late.
No, and that's like normal for UK.
No, for me, it's extremely late. And the stadium was already full, like, 75%, but everyone who had a ticket was already inside, basically. And when there is a lot of anticipation, when people have a lot of expectation for the game, for the result, for the outcome of the game, they go there early, not just to avoid traffic and queues, but because they are excited. And you can tell, you can really, really tell.
And does that translate after the game, like on the streets, on the way back, or on the train, or when you're walking around the city?
Beautiful. Like when you leave the stadium after a win, everyone has a smile. The ultras keep chanting, and we did. We kept actually. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna try something. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I recorded like a 50 seconds voice note I sent to a WhatsApp chat after the game. So this is after the game ended. I think it was when the players. So basically, when the game ends, the players, when we win at least, the players go around the whole stadium to thank the fans, I would say. And when we win, everyone remains in the stadium for another like 15, 20 minutes to celebrate with the players. And they start from Curva A, they go near the Distinti and make their way to Curva B, and then they go to the dressing room. So while they were coming towards Curva B, where I was, I recorded this. Let's say like it's us chanting with the players after the game ended. Let's see if I
I'll
can.
play
You
it, man.
can.
Let's see it. Even if it's not great quality, I think it will
Let's
make
see.
it's
Let's
worth us
see.
having a hit.
And that was after the game. That was after the game ended. So
I've got goosebumps, man. It's so beautiful to hear it. In the middle of it all. It feels like a Scudetto. You're so right that feels special. Whether or not it's gonna happen.
I don't want to say it, but it does. It does, man. Especially because this chant I think was created during the Sarri era. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was at least popularized during the Sarri era when we were fighting for the Scudetto. So when you chant it, and some of the chants similar to this one actually have the part where people chant Napoli become champion again. So they're actually chanting for Napoli to become torna campione. So that's not this chant, but still the same. When people are chanting this chant, it's because they're hoping for the Scudetto. Let's be honest here. I'm very
so we're not saying that
scaramantic.
they're going to win the Scudetto. I just say what
No.
we're not saying that. But
No,
we're just saying that it feels like we're caught up in a magical moment, not the magic, or so something's happening.
Yes, and for the record, I'll just say I don't believe we will win, and I'm not sure how realistic I'm being here. It's just probably I'm just saying to protect myself, because if I can't live through another 2018 again. I'm still scarred.
I don't think anyone can, and I think you've said it on the first show that rationality goes out of the window when you're in the Curva, and I will make no apologies for that we are getting carried away. Wonderful, thank you, Michele. That was such a beautiful insight into the Curva. You put us there, and that's what's the great thing I'm really enjoying about the show is your ability to paint the picture. It's beautiful stuff. But we got some quite fun interactions this week with our listeners. Thank you very much, everybody, for bringing some things in. The one I want to start with is from Chris Kelly, who is a great lad. He's a Yorkshire Napoli fan. And I was saying after our chat last week, has anyone got a favorite bar or restaurant in Naples to watch the game? And interestingly, nobody came up with them, but Chris, which I think rather aligns with what you were saying, but Chris plugged his local Neapolitan restaurant in Leeds, which is called Napoli nel Cuore. There you go, which speaks a little bit to that chant that you were saying. Now, I sent you, Michele, the menu of Napoli nel Cuore to say, from your perspective as a man in Naples, what would be the dish you would go for from this menu? Tell me.
It was a great menu. There were a lot of classics, but I focused on the starters, the antipasti, and I really love me some cuoppo di mare. Cuoppe mare Napolitan, which is basically I started with it's basically like a cone, like a paper cone with a lot of fried seafood. So fried calamari, some octopus in there, and it's really really good. I would get that.
Okay, well maybe one day if you're ever in Leeds, it's a great city. Yorkshire's a great place. I lived and I worked there for about 10 years, and I studied there as well. It's a great county, Yorkshire. So there we go. Thanks, Chris. We want to hear more about this restaurant, and it is a proper Neapolitan family that run the restaurant apparently. So there you go. You're probably living in the building with some of their family. It seems like everybody lives in your building. So there you go, Chris. Really interesting question we got just in at the last minute from someone called Trevor Ward. It's at Will Wright for Cake. He says Maradona died 16 months ago. COVID denied me a pilgrimage to either Buenos Aires or Naples. Now my time has come and I'm arriving in Naples in May for a weekend. What are the sights and experiences you recommend for fans to pay their respects? Absolutely brilliant question, Trevor. Michele, what's your advice?
So that's something I think we are lacking in Napoli. So there are a lot of places where you can experience the team outside the stadium. So as you probably know, the training center is very far away from Napoli. It's not in Napoli, first of all, and it's quite far away. It's not even in the province of Napoli. And it's kind of a weird area, to be honest. I wouldn't even recommend. It's not even open, so I wouldn't recommend going there anyway. There are no offices in Napoli. So if you want to go to like Napoli's headquarters, there is no Napoli headquarters in Napoli.
No, but
It's
hang
in
on, hang on. We're talking about Maradona here.
I know, still, it's like it's a bigger. I'm just trying to paint the bigger picture, like because I get a lot of these questions. What can I do, to experience the team and Maradona? A lot of people ask me about Maradona when I come to Napoli, and sadly, the answer is not. Well, there aren't many places, but for Maradona specifically, I would recommend first of all to go to Quartieri Spagnoli. So that's the classic, right? There's a murales, the street art with Maradona there. It's a very historic. It was painted, I think, in the 80s probably. Well, for sure, yeah, because Maradona was in Napoli before that,
Yeah.
and 80s or 90s anyway. And it's been restored, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, but it's basically still the same. And they expanded it a little bit, so now the whole area, it was basically just a parking slot before that, and now it's a whole area where with Napoli scarves and Napoli memorabilia and stuff like that. It's really nice, so I would recommend you go there.
I just say the name of the districts just once more.
Quartieri Spagnoli.
Yep.
So it's in the historic center. So
super famous, and there's lots of like small streets and stuff.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And for Maradona, there's another Maradona murales from I don't even know how to pronounce it, Jorit, which is a famous Napoli street artist.
Yep.
And that's the version of Maradona I think in his 50s when he was coach of Argentina. That murales is in Barra, so it's a little far away. It's actually towards where I am, but it's definitely not easy to go there. Some people ask me how to get there. I mean, you can get the taxi, I guess. It's definitely not in Napoli center, and it might be worth it. It's a nice mural. It's huge. It's very big.
And it's like the whole of a side of a building.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, exactly. Then there are maybe a couple other places where you can go. Again, there isn't really anything to do there, but like I would recommend people go maybe to Posillipo. There was you can go to Maradona's old house. I don't know exactly where it is. I have to Google it. I don't think it's hard to find, but obviously Maradona had to live somewhere when he was here, and he used to live in this nice house in Posillipo, which is still there, obviously. So some people like to go there, and there's another place which is the Napoli's old training center, which is in Napoli. It's in Soccavo. It's called Centro Paradiso, if I'm not mistaken. And once again, there isn't a lot of stuff to do there because this place has been is abandoned. Basically, there's nothing to do. You can get in legally, at least. Okay. It's just some ruins of a very historic and old training center where Maradona used to
atmospheric. And I think actually part of The Hand of God for the Sorrentino movie is actually shot there. But in some ways, those sites are the best place to go and pay your respects. Remember, I went to there's a mural on the wall in Paris for Serge Gainsbourg, and it was beautiful. And okay, there wasn't a whole bunch of stuff to do there, but you just have that silent moment there, and you feel like you're sort of connected to genius briefly. I think those three are excellent recommendations. I need to come and actually see the giant mural on the side of the building. What area is that again? Where the giant mural is?
The second one I said?
Yeah.
Barra.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Apologies for my pronunciation. Okay, that's great. I mean, Michele, we've covered so much today. Oh my God. And yeah, Daniel Bone, you sent a question we haven't answered that. I'm sorry. We love you. We're going to get you on for the next away game to find out what the atmosphere is there. So we're just kind of wrapping things up. So any last messages? So we need to do our Neapolitan phrase of the week. We slightly adapted it to make it a bit. So what would your Neapolitan phrase of the week be this week, Michele?
There are so many, it's just hard to, it's kind of hard to translate, I guess, but yeah, I wouldn't know how to translate it. I'm just gonna say, so in Napolitan it goes, Ricetto pappiš vicina noš, dammo tempo che te spertos. It's very hard to translate. It's basically an insect which attacks walnuts. Basically, this insect, which is papiche, I don't know how to say it in English. The papiche says to the walnut, give me some time, that will get inside you. Which is basically a saying to say, given time and effort, you can accomplish anything.
Beautiful.
And I really like this saying. It's really fun, to be honest, even to say it. It's kind of ironic, and it applies to us. Sooner or later, given time and effort, we can get there. We can reach the goal which we all want. Which I'm not gonna say again. I've said it too many times during this podcast.
Okay, we're now going to refer to the thing we don't talk about as the walnut. Okay, from now on, like we will not call it by its name. Great, because your Cazzissima last week had a really good. Did I say that right?
Cazzimma.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, everybody. Cazzimma had the desired effect because that's exactly what we had on the pitch. So, can you give us the whole expression once more?
Ricetto pappish vicina noce, rammo tiempo che te spertosa.
That's what we're going to have between now and the end of the season. And we might even end up with the walnuts. Michele, grazie mille per oggi. Absolutely wonderful. You can be found on Twitter at Napoli Tickets, right?
Yeah.
And I can be found on Twitter at Henry Bell Calcio. This is part of the Far From Vesuvius network, which is at Far From Vesuvius. Please give us a follow. Please give this a retweet. Let's get people finding out about the show. We're really happy with the amount of listeners we've got, but we could always do with more. Fantastic. Everybody at home, take care. And Forza Napoli.
Sempre.